Good afternoon, everyone. Please stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Welcome. I will call the City Council meeting to order. This would be our regular meeting on the third Monday of the month. Just a few things to remind everyone of. We do record the meeting. You can get it on YouTube, or you can go to the city website and get it there. If you go to YouTube, go to MCTV 20 Live and search for City Council. Also, if you wish to speak during the meeting, we'll ask you to come up to the table here in the middle of the room and use the microphone. And that's, obviously we can all hear each other, but that's simply so that those that might be watching online will be able to hear as well. And we would ask that people wait to be acknowledged before they speak. With that, let's go to the agenda. Anyone need to make any adjustments or modifications to the agenda? I think, yes. Brian, you have one.
Yes, I've got one. Item number 12, based on...
What was that?
Just trying to throw you off my game here.
I know something about 801 Chop House suddenly started talking.
They're not on Roosevelt Road, but that's what we're talking about here. The replacement bid for the concrete on Roosevelt, we had some different numbers come in on the meter side that's going to impact that a bit, so we're going to pull that for the moment as we reevaluate the meter expenses.
So number 12?
Number 12, yeah. So I'm going to ask to postpone that to a further date to be determined.
Do you want to address anything with regard to the meter thing?
Yeah, I was talking with Tim Mekovic, our Public Works Director today, and early on in the conversation with the meter company, he was telling them, you know, we got metal lids on our manhole covers for our meters almost all over town. We have some that are plastic because they've been replaced with plastic ones. I just pictured them blowing around in the wind, but apparently they're still pretty heavy. They're saying today now that perhaps the transmission signal from those meters to our devices that read them may not go through the metal. So out of abundance of caution, we're going to wait on the concrete thing to make sure we don't have to replace a bunch of manholes. We'll have to test it to find out, basically, to make sure. So that's kind of where we're sitting. So if it works fine, great. The vendor wasn't planning to do this concrete work till June or July anyway, so we got a little bit of time. They're also, and it's in my report, but there are also over 400 meters installed, so we're almost halfway, getting pretty close.
Who brought up the metal lid concern?
It popped up.
The vendor?
Well, yeah, the vendor did, yeah.
And how is it just now coming up after we've managed to purchase all of them?
Well, that's what his question was. Tim wasn't real happy about it, so, and I agree, so, yeah, we'll find out.
I don't think at this point there's nothing for us to do other than see if they work. But if they don't, then I think we probably need to talk to Brian. Because if we ask that question, if Tim knows he asked that question and they said yeah, then it's not our problem, it's theirs.
Yeah.
At least I'd make that argument.
Yeah, we'll be happy to do that. Yeah. So anyway, that's why we're stopping on pushing on the concrete thing for the moment, just till we make sure and verify. So
I had no idea that such a thing as plastic manhole, or I don't know if it's not really a manhole, but that you could put plastic ones down.
I'm kind of surprised at that.
It's black.
Yeah, but can you, if you're mowing your lawn, can you step on it without?
Yeah, your arms are fine. You just don't want to use them anywhere where they can get driven on.
yeah, they're
Mobile
kinder.
driving is fine.
Yeah.
Just not a.
Apparently they're kinder to lawnmowers, the plastic ones are. So
If you looked at it from a distance, you probably wouldn't know it's plastic.
I didn't know that.
If you hit them, it just shaves the lid, because I've done that.
How low do you
Slightly,
mow?
well, not that low, so if it's on the wrong angle, you know.
Motion to amend the agenda by removing item 12. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. Let's go on then to the consent agenda. Is there anything anyone wishes to address with regard to the minutes of the April 6th meeting, approval of warrants in the amount of $376,049.17, or payroll in the amount of $58,711.84? Anything anybody wants to pull out?
No.
If not, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Collett. Discussion? No discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. Let's move on then to public forum. Anyone want to address the council with regard to any matter whatsoever? No one? Move on then to department reports. And I'm going to, basically, Megan, you're the new Margot.
Okay.
So we're going to start with you.
All right. Is this thing on? I think it's on. It's a busy week for Eco Devo. This weekend is the Highway 56 sales scramble and citywide garage sales. So we're getting all geared up and getting all the yard signs out and flyers up and all of that good stuff. On Wednesday, there is the Destination Marketing Summit in Linden, Kansas. We used transient guest tax dollars to basically offer scholarships to 10 business owners in town that might be interested in going. And we have a full slate going out to Linden to hear from John Schallert on Wednesday. So that's an exciting thing. And then today I got a call from somebody from KSN wanting to do a segment on our Rhino tour. So hopefully that'll
That's
be
awesome.
happening pretty soon as well. So lots of good things going on.
Chief?
Not much new from the police department. This week, our car that we purchased a few months ago should be done at SERV. So that should be up and running within the next week or so. Aside from that, we're just making plans for Chingawassa weekend, getting officers in place. It looks like we're going to have at least 5 officers for that weekend, so should have enough officers down in the park. Because of all the part-time we have right now, so we're going to hopefully be covered better than we were last year and the year before. But that's all I have.
Aaron, I think I know the answer to this, but just ask for the sake of the public hearing your answer. We have talked at times about whether we should have a full 5-person department, or maybe we get by with 4 or whatever, but we've never wanted to get by with 3. I assume you're still doing what you can to advertise, recruit officers?
Yes. Right now we have, come the end of May, we should have two candidates that we could hire, both of them. But so theoretically, if we could have 5 guys at some point, we would potentially have 2 candidates to fill the 2 vacant spots, if that were to ever come about. But definitely need at a minimum 4. 3 just doesn't do it the best. It doesn't satisfy the community like we should.
You ever get any interest from a female?
No, that, in my opinion, that's one thing this county lacks is female officers. I wish that we could get some female officers in the county, but we haven't had any that have applied.
I only ask because when I was in Council Grove, they went from a 5-person department to a 4-man, 1-woman, whatever you want to call it. And it was really valuable for matters with regard to kids, sex crimes, things of that nature. Having a female officer was a valuable thing. Now,
I do think if the county school districts would come together and as one have like an SRO position, I think that would maybe bring more applicants to the table. Like, I'm just using this hypothetical, but if, like, USD 408, USD 410, and all those, like, came together, and they all had, a part in this person's salary, I think that that could bring, a different type of officer, a different group of officers, a whole different hiring or application pool. Cause there's people out there that wanna be cops, but they want to be more on the school side of it. I think that would be very beneficial for the county, but as a whole, but I just don't know if that'll ever happen. But I do think that that would bring a whole different pool of candidates.
It's an interesting idea.
That's about all it
Brian,
is.
would you, I'm making a note, but would you help me and make one for yourself that we might bring up when we have our meeting with the school superintendent? Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Masters.
Okay, real quick here. Went through training last week, and we did significant changes on the IRC, and we did glazing in the IBC and the IRC, safety glazing, and we also covered load paths for construction and how the structure supports the load forces from lateral and from above and everything. So it was very good training. Had a great meeting afterwards with the state fire marshal. Actually, was then the deputy state fire marshal on the adoption of the 24 ISC and the IBC, and it sounds like they're going to have more meetings with the building officials across the state of Kansas before they actually get the adoption done. But I think that they're looking by the end of the year adopting the by January 1st, they're looking to have a ISC and IBC 2024 adopted for the state of Kansas. And also found out through the this Heart of America, the ICC chapter, that the state passed SB 418. I want to say a couple of weeks ago, a week and a half ago, something like that. And that bill there limits municipalities and counties on what they can enforce when it comes to the International Residential Building Code. If it's under 2,500 square feet, we can't enforce anything newer than 2018 IRC. So it also did some changes to zoning. It shrank the size of a buildable lot. It was called by right housing is what it was called, and it made it easier to build houses. They can build a single-family residential house in any residential district. It doesn't matter. This came down from the state. The governor just signed it. So I thought I'd visit with you all about how we talked about we was going to do the 24 across the board on all the ICC codes. I think it would be beneficial if we just stayed with the 2018 IRC. The IRC, the International Residential Code, has its own building code, plumbing code, mechanical code, and electrical code in that code book. You don't have to go to any of the other code books to get the residential code. So it really wouldn't affect the rest of the code books if we went that route. So I just kind of would ask if they're interested, if that's possible, get your guys' blessing on that part right there to do that. And that way when we order materials, we order something 2018. The only way we can enforce the 2024 IRC is if it was a 25,000 or 2,500 square feet or bigger house. That would be the only way we can enforce that. And
Are you asking us to give you that permission now?
Yeah.
I'm a little resistant, James, because normally we wouldn't take action on anything that's not on the agenda for action.
Okay.
You're giving me the side eye.
Me?
No.
No, I mean, we just found out about this, so.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But
We
we're
just found out about
informing
it
you,
last
we can
week.
bring it for action next meeting. We do need to order the materials. I'm glad we hadn't ordered them yet when we
Yeah,
found.
we haven't ordered anything.
Yeah,
so.
when we found that out, we would put a quick pause on it, so.
Well, I would think the majority of the houses are under 2,500 square feet that are built, so, I mean, if we adopt a 24 and you can't enforce anything over that, does it make sense to have that? Zach, what's your opinion on that?
I don't know, I mean, I'd wanna dig into it a little more, I think, before I make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
Has the committee, do you think the committee is done, or will your group be meeting again?
Oh, we'll be meeting again. We just haven't set any meeting dates yet, we haven't ordered any materials, and we was gonna try and start ordering last week, but then this came down through the meetings, through the chapter that I'm with, and you know, I was like, okay, so,
I
most of
would
the other
like,
jurisdictions around, the consensus was that they were gonna do 2018. They weren't.
which makes perfect sense, but my experience in being on a committee that the city of Marion appointed, that then ignored everything the committee suggested and just basically did what they wanted without, we spent weeks on it, and then they just, one meeting, boom, they did everything differently. If we're gonna have a committee, I would rather have them at least have the opportunity to take a look at it and
Okay.
give us an opinion.
We'll send it out. We'll ask them to do a review for a week, get back to us, tell us what they think.
I think I am within my rights to say that I get so frustrated with the Kansas legislature, especially over the last 15, 20 years, as they all talk about local control, and whine about what the federal government does to them, and then they turn around and do the exact same thing back to cities and counties. End of commercial message, paid for by Michael Litthouse.
Who gets that money? Didn't see any. Sorry.
Are you done, James?
And just a reminder, grass season started, and so, I've been having to write some grass violations, so, just kinda wanna put that out there too.
Mr. Wheeler?
All right, well, we're just ramping up for summer production, which is basically already started. Still awaiting a couple of the repair gaskets for the other two automatic fire hydrant flushers. That should see those this week, I'm fingers crossed. I know I talked to the vendor in Salina and they have them, it's just getting them down here to us. Other than that, nothing real exciting. I believe we're gonna try to do a burnout, free chlorine burnout, first part of May. I sent Brian and Becky some information on that today, however, I still gotta wait for the final okay from KDHE, but that should be here probably, it may be here already this afternoon or tomorrow, but, once I have that, I will pass those dates along to you all, but other than that, we're extremely close to having the new raw water meter, installed and operational. That should be done by the end of the week, fingers crossed, so. We go there. The pigging has been scheduled for either the week of May 4th or May 11th, whichever ends up working out for Mayor and when we receive the actual pig, so we'll keep you posted on that.
Is there gonna be any disruption in water when they do the pigging? Or our supplies will be big enough, it won't matter?
Not to the customer, no. We'll shut the plant down for however many hours, but we'll adjust accordingly, whether we need to run late one evening or come in super early one morning. We'll make it work so that the town won't be without water.
Good.
Steven? Nothing? Goes to you, Brian.
Okay, we forgot you, Ann, I wanna make sure.
We had the 2025 audit last week, so that was done, and we're just waiting for the report back.
I'm speechless. When do you expect to see that? Do you have any idea?
They're finalizing it this week, so hopefully next
Well, good, okay. Well done.
I didn't see any tears shed, so I think it was a good deal, so.
Okay, Brian.
Okay, tag on to Jason's, chlorine burnout, that'll be 2 this year that they're gonna do. This is considered a maintenance one versus the annual one. Becky will put the information in the water bills to go out here in 1st of May, and then we'll put it on social media too. So everybody will get notified when he's got the date set, so they'll be prepared for it. They're also doing some of the hydrant flushing right now already. Right, yeah. So that's going on too at the same time. So if you've got some brown water and it's not a hydrant flush on your block, call us. We'll bring one by and we'll take a look at that. So we have mail for the council, if we could pass that on. And Jason spoke of...
Do the honors, Amy.
No, go ahead.
You're the mayor, you will.
Go ahead.
Well, it doesn't smell like anthrax.
You know what that smells like?
It doesn't smell odd, let's put it that way. Oh, it's from Margot. What a surprise and a great honor you gave me at my reception. I am humbled and can't thank everyone enough. Marion is very blessed to have you all on the council. I hope you will all continue your great work. Thank you for honoring me. Thank you for a nice reception and a beautiful hanging plant. I appreciate everything. Marion is home. My coworkers are family. Heart. With love, Margot. That's very nice. Why don't you send that back, and if you want Janet, share it with any other staff.
Okay. The pigging's ready to go because ditch diggers did the dig. They came in $6,000 under the estimate. I think the pigging, if I remember right, is going to be about $9,000. So there's 6,000 savings put towards the pigging. Makes the pigging a little smaller. So that's a good thing. We appreciate that. I think that's, oh, no. Water meters are in progress and replacement. They've done over 400 so far, faster than we estimated, but the good weather's making a big difference. So they're in the North Hill area and working their way east. I'm not sure if they've got to Cedar Street yet, but they only did about 40 or so today, I think. Had partial crew, but they're going to continue to work. We're door knocking as we get to residences to let you know if you're there. It's off typically 5 to 10 minutes. If there's an issue, it could be a little longer. My house was an issue. It was a little longer, but nothing was, it was okay. They got the job done. The parking area north of our neighbors at the Methodist Church has been worked on. We're waiting for some rain to kind of wash it off and see where we're at as far as rock go, and a new sign's being ordered for that.
I noticed the parking lot was better.
Oh, good.
And I came in all fired up to ask about the sign and decided I would be a nice guy and not ask about it.
Yes, well, it's being worked on.
Good.
So there'll be a new sign ordered, and if we need to bring a little more rock or something in there, we will. But they wanted to try to recapture whatever was already in the ground that sunk over the years. And if we get a decent rain, we'll get that cleaned off and see where we're at. So they're working on it. That's everything on my report. We got plenty of other stuff coming up.
Council members, anyone have questions for Brian? Brian, were you going to talk about the Luda Creek?
Oh, yes, I was. And I handed you a letter there with some information. And, Public Works has been working with the Cottonwood Valley Drainage District, and I have a copy of the agreement that I'm going to email you all that I scanned back from August 11th, 1975. It's kind of an MOU between us and them as they work to protect the drainage district from the Cottonwood Valley and the river. In your letter there's a couple of pictures. I tried to email the video to you, and the email mysteriously disappeared along with a couple others. But you can see, if you look front and back, one in January, a picture we took, and then another one here in March. They went down and were able to pump out water on the east side of that culvert, lower the level enough that they could get in there with the tractor and dislodge some debris and increase the flow by about 50%. We don't know if it's at 100 yet, but it's 50% better than it was. And I haven't been down and looked in a couple of weeks to see if it's maintained that, but it has improved some. They're also working with the Cottonwood Valley Drainage District on the gate at the north end, right off the highway. There's that wheel and pole. The pole is bent at some point, and the gate's a bit stuck. The crew got in there, and they were able to get it lowered about halfway. But they're probably gonna have to take another vendor to come in there who's got more power than we got to fix that. So I'll talk with the drainage board about maybe they could finance it and we'll get it worked out. So, I think years ago, Mayor, that's doing our pigging, helped them up there with Tim's predecessor, and his name just jumped out of my head. Marty, yes, thank you. So Marty's been helping, with old information and current, trying to figure the project out. Drainage board would like to see that gate closed during spring, which is supposed to be the rainy season, was last year. This year, not so much. Because Luda Creek's supposed to handle the drainage from the valley and from the hill. It pops up springs and stuff, and we get lots of rain, and so adding water from the Cottonwood kind of overtaxes it in the way they've got it set up. Then it could be opened again when that season's over and get some water through. I think Aaron shared with me that it's a 24-inch pipe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both under there's 24-inch pipe under the new highway.
Okay.
And 24-inch pipe under Main Street.
Under Main Street,
And
okay.
then everything on the outlet side is the same. It's all the same size.
It's all the same. So 24-inch doesn't let a whole lot of water in. There won't be any tubing or water skiing in there, I don't think. But hopefully if we get the gate where we can control it, maybe we can get some better flow and get that water changed out at least at some point. So it's still ongoing, but there's been some work accomplished.
I really would, and we had some of this discussion this morning, and okay, fine, it's the rainy season, so you wanna be able to close that gate, at least partially, or maybe 100%, I don't know, but, then you get past the rainy season. I just remember from living where Darren lives now, that Luda Creek used to be not a disgusting swamp. It used to be a creek, and people on the weekends, you'd be in the backyard or whatever, and people would come down it in rowboats or canoes or float along on, floated rafts and stuff. Even if we can't get a better flow, and frankly, just what was done probably helped. I last Saturday, actually drove out and looked at this area, and then I came down and parked across from Darren's office and just looked at the water going under. And it seemed to me there was actually some water flowing more than I expected anyway. But drive over the Main Street Bridge and look to your right and left, drive slowly so you don't wreck anything, and look at all the dead limbs, all the crap. And I don't know, Megan, if that's something we can look for grants for, I don't even know what it would be called, but it's awful.
I won't say there doesn't need to be some clean out work and probably check those culverts to make sure they're all viable and everything, but it's maybe more than our technology can handle, so we may have to look at that grant opportunity or something to help get those, make sure they're all going. Or we'll work with the drainage district to see if they can help fund that. They do get money every year to do projects, so maybe we can work it out. I mean, when it comes to looks like a herd of deranged beavers that didn't build very good dams were at work through there. Okay, move on, I'm sorry. We'll keep working on it.
Was that it?
That's it for reporting, yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Boxa?
Nothing to report.
Clerk Holder, no. Powers? I do have just an informational thing. Saturday, well, maybe some Friday, and for sure Saturday morning, the Kiwanis Club's gonna be working in the cemetery. Are putting in posts, that will be white. The white will be a plastic material, so it's not gonna, fade and have to be painted, with numbers on it, on all four sides of the post. So it will designate the various sections of the cemetery. I've heard from several people that, like florists and such, that have to go out, somebody from somewhere sends them and says, go put a $50 flower on Uncle Ernie's grave and finding, you can't even find the section, let alone the gravesite. And so Swans Club's working to get that done. They're also, purchasing new, ropes, maybe they already done it, I don't know, Stephen may know, yeah. For the flag poles out there, because a lot of those were just rotted and breaking, and then they bought, however many flags there, it's a lot, cause I've seen them where they're stored.
60.
60?
There's 56 flagpoles, but we bought 60 flags.
So,
It's gonna look nice.
so when, Memorial Day rolls around, there'll all be new flags on new ropes, and, the sections will be designated, so, thanks to the Kiwanis Club for that. Mostly Gene Winkler, but don't tell him I said that.
I've got a few things, and one of them, merry-go-round update.
Not
Is
since
there
the
one?
last one I gave you, I was thinking about that this morning, I need to contact them.
Just a random thing that popped into my head as I
Oh,
sat
that's
down
fine,
here.
it's, yeah, it's a random thing that popped into my head too, so it must be time to talk to him.
The other one was another random thing that popped into my head. We were talking about Chingawassa, and this is maybe not a question necessarily for anybody here, except for Steven, because I think he's on the Chinga board. We haven't seen them yet, and I know last year we got into a, like, week before they got into a scramble, so.
That's a good point.
You might, yeah, it was just a thought when we were talking about it earlier. And the only other question I had is, do we have an update on the hiring for the open office position that we have?
Yes, we performed some interviews, did not come to an agreeable solution. We're gonna rewrite this week I'll get the job description kind of retailored, and then we'll resubmit it. And it will advertise locally, and if they can send it to the local colleges and universities, they got people graduating in May, and see what we can come up with.
Speaking of that, when Brian and I met with the superintendent and hospital administrator last week, I wondered if maybe we just weren't offering enough compensation hourly rate for that position. And asked them, and they provided, actually, Alex Haynes showed me the list of various positions and what they paid, and, Justin Wassmuth, just off the top of his head, but I think we're okay. I think what we're offering is not, it's really not much lower, if at all, of what the hospital and school are paying for similar positions.
That's all I had.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Are you done then?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Ready for the next thing.
Let's, go on to Ponderosa Prep.
Okay, that's gonna be me again. Ms. Heck called me before the meeting, wasn't feeling well, couldn't get here, so I had her give me some notes real quick. Basically, she was gonna ask, and she can come next time if you want her to. She was gonna ask the city's blessing on another race they wanna do on May 15, 16, 17. It's a predecessor of the Grand Prix in Florence. It's not a race per se, but more of a practice opportunity. People kind of reached out to them. They want to be able to get out and get in the dirt and drive their motorbikes. And they would do that at their property again on the north edge of the city limits. They'll have insurance and all the amenities. People will be able to camp and such like they did last I think October, she said. And if you're okay with that, again, that's great. If you needed to be here, I can ask her, invite her back for the next meeting.
So essentially, it's the same thing, just less, because it's not a race, it's
Correct.
just a.
Yeah, it's just a practice opportunity.
There wasn't any issues the last time, was there?
None that I'm
With
aware of,
anything?
no.
Aaron, do you know of anything?
There were a few that, like bikes on the road, but other than that, no.
So my understanding would be that we would say to her, to Wendy and the organizers, that we don't have an objection to it so long as it's done under the same restrictions and requirements that were imposed last year.
Okay.
Is that
That's
okay?
more or less what I figured it would be.
Yeah. Anyone feel like they need her or some other representative to come in and talk about it?
No, if they follow that.
I think that's a no, Brian.
Okay, I'll let her know. Thank you.
Oh, okay, we're to the water plant. So, you're up, Brian, or excuse me, Darren.
Well, Brian can take it if he wants.
I might chime in, I'll let you start.
Okay, so, it's that time of year where we have to, if we want on any future funding with the KDHE SRF loan program or loan forgiveness, you have to get legislatively, they have to put it on a big list. And it's that list, to get on that list, it's just a pre-application. That application is due May 1st this year. It changes year to year, but it's always around the same time every year. So what I've provided is the pre-application. We talked to Jason and Brian about this, and don't get hung up on the final number. We have to shoot a...
Too late.
Okay.
Already had the heart attack.
Okay, good. More so maybe for you, Judge. We have to plan high, because if we end up doing an actual project here down the road and use SRF funds, it's easier to take a $2 million loan than to apply for a $2 million loan and all of a sudden end up at $5 million. So that's why we turned this in for a $5.7 million project. Now, what that is that's, when I went over with Jason, that's about a 2/3 almost brand new plant. You know, there's certain parts that we don't need to touch, but that's taking the pieces and parts that we do want to touch and basically making it brand new. There's a lot of things we will not have to do to go that far, but we definitely wanted, for this purpose of turning in the pre-application and getting approved on the list. Now, will KDHE come back and deny this? No. Just what will happen is it depends on a lot of factors and how they score things as to where you end up on the list. But just by turning this in, you will get on the funding list somewhere. So basically, the pieces and parts we're going to touch is the ozone treatment system, the flocculation system, primary, secondary clarifiers, then just some, there's some high service pump upgrades that need to be done, some seals, control type things, chemical treatment replacement and upgrades, and then the other big thing is just the controls and electrical system, which Jason's already done some of that. So it's not like, once again, it's not like we're having to do a whole replacement. And then the one thing that we listed it on here, but we're not sure what's going to happen, is that backup water supply system. Going back to the Luda Creek is our backup water supply for the treatment for Marion County, or for City of Marion. So let's just hope that the primary reservoir never fails.
I noticed on the application it described it as Mud Creek.
Well, it's listed as both. On some of the official stuff, it still says Mud Creek. It's kind of weird, so I called it Mud Creek.
I think Luda might be a Native American word meaning mud.
Maybe it is.
But I like the sound of it better.
Mud Creek doesn't sound very good for a water source.
So on the USGS maps, some of them say mud and some of them say Luda. And after the rerouting of the Cottonwood, it really gets confusing. So. But
it's probably more an accurate description of it.
The top 3 feet is green, and the bottom 6 feet of muck is mud.
Oh, never mind, I just wanted to keep moving.
Keep moving. So all we're asking for tonight is the approval of this to submit as a pre-application to KDHE.
I move that we approve this pre-application.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. Are you needing this signed
Nope.
tonight, Darren?
There's nothing to sign.
Okay.
I just needed your approval, and we'll get it submitted electronically in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Next up on the list is the submission of a Phase 2 KDOT C-Clip Highway project. We were awarded the first phase of this, which is on Main Street from Roosevelt to North Thorpe, so basically 3.5 blocks. This would tie into that at the Roosevelt and come on around the curves to roughly Locust, is how far we could basically get with the funding that's available. Once again, this is up to a $1.5 million application, and your cost based on the population of City of Marion is 0. So this is no cost to you, no cost on the first phase, which we still haven't heard back from them, have we? I'll follow up with that. We haven't started on Phase 1 design because we're waiting on the state to get us the contracts back for us to start design. However, if they pick this one up, and a lot of times they do look very favorably at combining two phases, cause they know they're gonna get a better bang for their buck, then phase one would slide to match this phase two in timing. So we wouldn't actually see any construction till like almost 2029. But it's out there, that's a possibility, so.
You're saying on phase one? it would-
Phase
it would
one is
push-
2028, and if we get this,
it would push it back.
they push phase one to match phase two. They'd still use 28 money to do it, but they'd have to wait for the 29 money to be in place. And when I say 28, 29, those are state FY, so it's actually starts July, like 29 starts July of 28. So we could actually see construction in late 28, even though it's 29 money, if this was awarded, so. But we're still 2 years away, so.
Darren, on the map that we've got here, the part you're talking about is in red, and then the one that we assume is already gonna happen is in green, east of it.
Yes.
And then on to the west is in yellow again. Is that,
That yellow is just 'cause it's designated highway.
okay, but isn't that gonna need similar work, or has that already been done more recently? Has that been part of the downtown project?
No, so when we did the highway jobs we've done over the last 15 years, were mill and overlays only. And we went from city limit with 4 different projects, we went from city limit to city limit. But those were mill and overlays, we didn't touch the base at all. Now, that being said, the base from North Thorpe to the east city limits, Eisenhower, is not in bad shape. Yes, we have isolated potholes that develop, but as a whole general rule, that's not. And the curb's also in decent shape out there, the inlets are in decent shape out there. So that section's probably one of the last ones we'd actually ask to do anything to. As we move on further west, there's still spots from the tracks west, but they're very isolated spots where those cracks were, those cracks are always gonna come back, and until we do a full base redo, they're still always gonna be there. So once again, that's probably not the highest priority, so going from beyond this, probably the next priority to look at is through the downtown area, coming off of Locust through the downtown. Once again, we still have brick underneath there, that whole stretch, which we do under this next phase also. One block from, Freeborn to Roosevelt has brick under it now, under the project we're getting ready to do. And then there's bricks all the way under the rest of this. So it's getting that brick out of there and re-getting the curb to where they can actually handle drainage and flow and redoing the inlet tops so they can actually accept the flow are the big things. Cause if we look from, especially from Cedar, the curve, clear down to the park, especially on the high school side, there's spots where there is no curb or it's an inch high. So, it just, not good water flow, water management. As we do get into the downtown, we're gonna have to prepare ourselves for a little bit of fight with KDOT in the fact that traditionally they come in and they say driving lanes only. So, but we have ways to try to convince them that the parking areas need some attention too, so. The ones that are already concrete, they're still in good shape. We wouldn't be messing with those, but about half the alternating areas are still asphalt. And the last thing we wanna do is leave asphalt next to concrete, because then we end up with developing a heat bump right off that concrete, which makes it not very nice for people driving and parking down there. So.
did not know that.
But we'll address that when we move into the downtown.
So this new section, phase two though, we're looking at doing concrete.
Yes.
Where phase one is gonna be
No, it's concrete.
phase one and two will all be concrete, okay.
That's correct. Yes, and, we're going with an 8-inch concrete over I think a 10-inch base.
Yeah, wow.
So it'll be good and heavy duty.
Good.
Tim's very interested in this. I think he's gonna have to run for another term on council to get what he wants, cause he wants signs that say, your tax dollars at work, Councilman Tim Boxa. But
I could probably get a special sign made for during construction.
Okay, what else can we do for you, or what more can you do for us?
On that, if you just, same thing, did you guys approve that? I'm sorry, I missed it if you
We
did.
have not.
We have not.
If you can just approve that submission of that one.
You wanna give me a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the submission of the Phase 2 KDOT C-CLIP from Roosevelt to
Locust.
Locust.
I'll second that.
Motion and second, discussion? No discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Nays, excuse me, ayes have it unanimously.
Once again, that does not require a signature, so we'll get that submitted in the morning.
Thank you. That it?
Yeah, 'cause you took the next one off my list, so that was it for me.
Okay, Brian, ordinance 1522, the yield signs that we've been working on.
Yes, you approved the information that's in this ordinance. Here, you're just approving the ordinance. We'll print it in the newspaper for 2 weeks, and then it'll become code. So you've done the hard work, I think.
Anyone have any questions or comments with regard to, we did have the discussion, and now it's just a matter of putting it in action, but, anyone has anything?
It has now been 2 hours and 14 minutes since I almost hit someone at one of those intersections, so just.
We have the signs of the poles ready to go, so.
Motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve ordinance number 1522.
Second?
I'll second that.
Motion and second, discussion. In way of discussion, Brian, I was thinking about this, as I was driving north on Roosevelt Sunday and almost got hit by somebody. But, we're having to publish, because that's the way you do it. Before we do any more of these, I would like to try to look at the, kind of organically at the whole city. We can, bit by bit, make decisions, but it'd be nice if when we get to the point of an ordinance, that the ordinance would cover places like the ones we're addressing here all over town. Just something to maybe try to work toward once we get past this.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, probably need to sit down with Tim and with Chief over here, and because I'm sure you know what the close calls are.
Yeah, I mean, the big ones are what we're doing right now.
Yeah, we're hitting the big ones at least,
Yeah.
but if there's other ones, or depending on where yours was today.
We're
Tim.
getting it covered.
Okay, good, okay. But if there's others, the public has any they wish to share with us, please reach out to us.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
I mean, we'd be happy to look at anything and address it for the safety of all the residents, so.
But I think we can, those who drive the town a lot, which is most of us, could probably put together a list of suspect intersections that then could be discussed by all of us, and, okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. Ordinance 1523, placement and maintenance of refuse containers.
Yes, you passed this one a while ago, and it fell through the crack. My apologies. So we're bringing the ordinance, which was approved by Attorney Bean, and so was the other one, to make it correct. I see a typo as we say this, but it's small. Anyway, that's what this one is to make sure the folks that don't have alleys have their time frames to put them on the curb out front and retrieve them.
Now, this is the one where you wanted to put people in jail for not taking their trash cans out, is that right?
That was a rumor. It's not true, though.
Okay. Questions of Brian? Comments? Motion, then. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve ordinance number 1523.
I'll second that. Discussion? No discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. Thank you.
We'll be printing that in the paper next 2 weeks, not this week, but next 2 weeks, and then it'll be official.
Next up, Resolution 26-02 with regard to creating and implementing a hospital district.
Yeah, I'm gonna call on James. Oh, no, that's not, yeah, well, yeah, I will. You wanna bring some of that knowledge you gave?
By the way, I take it, are we what's in our packet, which obviously is not what we would be taking to the paper or officially adopting, but there's a great big question mark, up
Yeah,
my
that's
O2.
the numbering, because we have another resolution that may get done before this one, so.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's why.
All right, that makes sense.
This started before my arrival last year, the interest in creating a hospital district into the zoning and planning of the city. I think based on our conversation here today, it may need to go to the planning commission as well, so, but it's in front of you all just to get your feedback in the meantime, and then we would take it to the planning commission and, follow the rules and regulations that that abides by. James can give you more of the details on that. He's got it memorized, I believe.
First of all, I apologize, I had just got this today, so I haven't really looked it over very closely, the resolution. I didn't know, apparently Brian Bean has been working on this here, and so we got something now. I quickly looked at the state statutes today on changing the zoning code, adding to the zoning code, and things like that, and it starts in the planning commission, and they give a recommendation to the city council. Okay, the city council can override the recommendation with a 2/3 vote, or go ahead, if it's not an override, then it's just go ahead with it. Or the city council can also send it back to the planning commission to look at again, okay? And then it comes back to the planning commission, or back to the city council after they've looked at it again, and it can be passed with a simple majority. Also, if the planning commission gives absolutely no recommendation, then the city council can go ahead and approve it. That's kind of the route that I saw with the state statutes on this here. There has to be a public hearing. Notification has to be sent out if a district is changed. But from what I've looked at this here, that we're not rezoning anybody. We're just adding something to the zoning code, and that then the people that want to be in this district have to submit a rezoning. So the hospital district would have to rezone to this new district for it to apply for them to be in that district. And anybody else that comes to town after that would need to, if they selected a piece of property, they'd have to go through the rezoning process before they could ever do anything with that property.
This was requested by the hospital. The hospital's attorney and our city attorney spent quite a bit of time looking at different options on how to best do this, and this is what was eventually selected. I believe I'm right on this, but feel free to check me. I think this is identical or virtually identical to what Hillsborough has done.
I haven't had a chance,
Yeah,
but it
you
looks
wouldn't-
very similar to the one that I did see
Maybe
in
that's a better
Hillsborough.
way of putting it, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just to be aware, and I personally, I'll just state this up front, I'm very much in favor of this. I know that there are some who will question it on the basis of legality, favoring one medical provider over another medical provider or something of that nature. I don't personally think there's a problem with it, but if one were to come up, obviously we could deal with it, or the council in place could deal with it at the time. But it is something that is being done basically at the request of the Marion County Hospital, St. Luke Hospital, and so there you go. And if you have further questions, certainly would not dissuade you. I think it'd be very appropriate to have a discussion down the road when it gets back to us.
I will put this on the at our next meeting for new business at with the planning commission, and we'll go from there. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, now Brian's really trying to get controversial. A potential ordinance with regard to requiring the display of addresses on your house and your business.
Yes, one of our team members working on meter replacement was out in the field and found two houses next to each other in the middle of a block that had no street numbering on them. Called in and we helped him identify what they were, but that does you know, if we're having that problem, then EMS or police or fire may have the same trouble. If there's no smoke, you know, it's, if there's smoke, it's a little easier to find it, but if there's no smoke, it can be a lot more difficult.
The one's on fire.
You know, if you have a health issue and you wanna be able to be found, it'd be helpful to have those numbers on your home, so. And then maybe some of us, I have faded numbers that could be spruced up, so I'll be doing that too, but it's a really good idea for them to be able to find you in a moment of need. So I did hopefully a pretty thorough search for city code. I couldn't find anything related to this, so I just brought this as an example. The person that had to figure that out said, "Can we have an ordinance?" I said, "Well, we can always ask." So, that's, you said there might be some stuff in the city code or in the planning code.
International Property Maintenance Code.
Okay, yeah.
It's one of our ICC code books that we have adopted, and it does cover house numbers. And, if I remember right, they're 4 inches and they have to be contrasting and stuff, but I didn't get a chance to look at that today. But I would bring that information back to the council. If we want something different, then we should amend that out of that code and create our own city code, on house numbering.
If we do get to the point with the if we were to do 2018 International Residential Code, would that, you know, if that be included in that, to where if that was to go through, it would already be part of it?
It would be in the International Property Maintenance Code,
That
yes.
falls under the International Residential Building Code?
No, that does
That's
not.
separate.
That's a different code. The International Property Maintenance Code is a little
Separate
bitty
one?
book. That's the one we use for dangerous structures and things, but it does cover house numbers in there. And it would be a part of that book, but if we created a city code, we can amend it out and not have that section of that code book as part of our city code.
If we just, Brian, where did you get this, draft?
I'm trying to remember which city I pulled it from.
Okay.
I did a Google search, came up with 3 or 4, and I pulled it. I can't remember if it was Harrington or it might have been Kingman, actually, the one I found that was the easiest to understand, so I just cannibalized it. No original ideas, you know, so. But it's just kind of a draft. We can modify as we wish.
I just wondered about, and I did mention this to Brian earlier today, whether it could be an either or. And as a for instance, if you go down South Roosevelt, at least the last several blocks of it, or a few blocks of it, all the mailboxes are on the street, and many of them have the address either on the mailbox or on the post that holds it up. You know, maybe we say, well, that's all well and good, but we still want it on the house. I don't know, but I'm just, if we get to the point of looking to adopt this, it'd probably be something to at least discuss whether we wanted to have options that all would definitely require that it be, well, easy to see.
How do we enforce this?
Present time.
What I've done in the
I
past
didn't recommend
is I just give out come up with a list of houses that don't have a house number, and just kind of give an informative, hey, do you know that your house numbers are required by the city code, but they're also used by emergency personnel, by the fire department, by the police department, by contractors and other personnel, city personnel, that everybody in town actually uses the house number on your house. And most generally, I get about 80% compliance with something like that, you know. And then, for the 20%, you actually have to send a violation out on. That's what I've had typically in the past.
I mean, are you, at least initially, are you thinking that you drive every street and write down?
No.
I mean, that's what I'm
No.
like. So I guess, right, there's the upfront, yes, agree, that's 100%, I think, is the way to go about it. And agree, you're gonna catch the vast majority of people who are gonna go, oh, shoot, I didn't realize, and
Yeah.
put them up there. But how do we figure out, other than driving the street and going, yep, that one, that one, that one, like, how do we figure out which houses don't have the numbers?
So, you know, other than driving every street, rely on the police department, the fire department, public works department to, when they encounter these, to just turn them in, you know.
Does the postal service have a requirement?
I don't know.
I don't think so, 'cause you can get
They,
PO boxes.
maybe a mailbox, they have a requirement for a mailbox.
And I say that because my mailbox is up on the house, and it does not have a number on it.
Well, in the city would be
You
at all
can't
the
read my
locations
mailbox
reading
numbers
water.
anymore.
Yeah, they would.
So then, you know, the city public works would be there reading water meters, so they'd be able to see which ones don't have.
No, that's the whole point of this project, is we're not gonna be there
Well,
reading.
they
water.
still
they'll
got
be driving
driving
by.
by, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, but, yeah,
Right.
do we think they're gonna look at the houses as they drive by?
Well, we could say, we could tell them to.
Yeah.
I think there's ways to do it.
From the last time we designed a water project, when we did the big water project design, I would say probably 30 to 40% of the houses do not have house numbers. We ran into that during that design too, because we were trying to coordinate with Becky on which meters, you know, how the meters were gonna get replaced. So we had to write down addresses so that we could coordinate that switch over in meters, and there was a fair amount of them that don't have that number.
Darren, were they not on the curb in front of the house?
Well, some of them maybe, but
Used to be
even the
this.
ones that were on the curb aren't necessarily readable.
Yeah.
I remember having to go and look at the house to the north or south of it, okay, that one's got a number on it, and you
Right.
go pull up the county's Orca site, okay, well, that's
Yeah.
the address for
Yep.
that one, that's the
Right.
one, okay, that's what the address is for that one, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I have to
remember
rely
that
on the
too,
Orca
right.
site quite a bit for
Yeah.
the address, yes.
Wasn't that a school project for the painting the address or the numbers on the curb? Cause I thought it looked neat when they did it, but like I said, probably the.
Jason's signing himself up to go talk to the school right
I
now.
remember doing that
Yeah,
back
those
in
are
my
cute.
day.
I thought the numbers on the curb was really cool, and I hadn't seen that before. And, it has been very helpful, but they are getting faded.
Unless you have cars parked in front of there, then you can't see it anymore.
My recollection is they quit doing it after they asked the class of '96 to do it, and it was so bad that.
Numbers upside down.
Backwards.
So this was just on for
Discussion.
thought process tonight?
Information, yeah, we'll see what you think, and we could go with the code. I mean, obviously, we're identifying some of that, and we're notating those, because the vendor calls us and says, what house number is this? So that's pretty easy to, we'll look, figure it out. Well, is it yellow, is it red, is it blue, what's it look like? And then we can make a quick note, and we can send a courtesy letter.
Are you asking, Brian, that we give you a little guidance on whether we want you to, come back at this again, or whether we just wanna move on?
We can go with the code, the ICC, or IR code, or we can go to an ordinance. How would you prefer we do it? And do you want us to do it?
Probably easiest to go with the actual code or ordinance, right?
Probably.
And not that we can't enforce the building code, but it feels like it's gonna be.
If you
right,
start
it's gonna be-
enforcing one part of it, you gotta go enforce everything in this
And
house.
it's
Well,
also
it's
be-
it's not in the building code. It's in the International Property Maintenance Code. It's a different code.
there
There's
a grass-
there's a
Right,
grass
like,
code
if it's
in
the
there.
code, yes, like understand that we can enforce the code, but if we go through that process, then same deal, right? I mean, it's gonna get published in the newspaper, there's a way for it to get out to some people that, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Maybe that catches 20%, I don't know, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like anything we can do to kind of put eyes on it before we start enforcing it.
Right.
It's gonna help us.
We could do a social media thing, and through the utility billing, maybe set that up for June. We'll work with Andre,
Oh,
the
that's
fire
good.
department, and get their.
It could be
maybe he
included,
could-
just say like, hey, could the fire department find your house? Is the number on it or something like that?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
for information.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Either that or send them the wrong bill that's a bigger bill to the wrong address, be like, well, sorry.
If we could tell where your house was, we would should do the right.
So, we'll try to avoid postage at first, and then see how it goes.
Okay, number 17, algae and the buoy system.
Yes, we've been talking about with Jason and you all about the blooming algae that typically occurs in warmer weather and when it's not windy, right? out at the reservoir where we get our water. The buoy system's been paid for previously by the state the last few years that it's been operating. It gives us information about a pending bloom and a decreasing bloom that helps them pinpoint their treatment, use of chemicals and man hours. All those things add up eventually. And so, but the state doesn't want to pay as much. They only do pay about a third now. So Hillsborough talked about this a few weeks ago. So we're talking about it too. The remaining cost would be $20,000 for each of the two cities to help pay for that to keep it going. And so we're asking permission to keep it going. When we do rate study after all the water meters are in charge or implemented, I imagine we'll continue to do the blooming monitoring for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. And the rate of compensation may change over the years, but we'll include the current pricing at least in the water rate to recapture that.
I think we had this discussion before, Jason. I assume this is something that is pretty helpful for you guys down the plant.
Extremely helpful. I, again, thought about more ways to relate it to you guys today. It's you know, we hear about in the professional sporting world, guys stealing signs, stealing playbooks. This monitoring system is basically like us stealing Mother Nature's playbook. We get a good picture of exactly what's happening out of the reservoir at any given time, as long as the buoy's working properly. But it gives us the opportunity to make treatment adjustments for that specific period of time and not trying to blanket from now until the end of September or end of October when we know it's not going to happen.
When you can pinpoint it, do you feel like there would be less chemical use, therefore less cost of the total amount of chemical to be used each year?
The total amount of chemical and total cost will be, I feel like is cut drastically. Again, instead of trying to blanket for months, you know, like before the buoy system was put into play, you know, like starting the first part of May, you know, we would basically be ramping up the chemical to combat any type of bloom out there. You know, whether it is one that lasts 24 hours or one that lasts 72 hours. You know, we didn't really know. And now we have the information to know that, okay, the ingredients are there for the baking of the bloom. It's going to be there, so we know to make those adjustments. Then we know when it's gone. You know, and you kind of think of the reservoir as a situation where our Kansas wind is extremely helpful out there. You know, like I know sometimes we all want to cuss it because it just blows and blows and blows, but that's again Mother Nature's blender for us out there. It keeps things churning out there and prohibits it from getting just out of control. It's those super hot and calm days that, you know, are what the blooms really look for out there. But I can't say enough about how helpful I think this program is. And it really is kind of a shame that the state has decided not to fund it anymore. I know we're not the only surface water treatment plants, myself and Hillsborough, that are affected by this. Tuttle, John Redmond, Cheney. There's several others that use this monitoring program as well, and they're all in the same boat we are in coming up with ways to fund it. So it's a very, very helpful key to battling the ongoing algal out there.
So kind of without it, you basically kind of over-treat the water, I mean, not knowing what level it is.
Absolutely. No,
So that'd be your chemical savings then. I think the first time we brought it up, I thought it was just us in Hillsborough, and I thought, because I looked back through some notes, I thought we were 30,000 apiece, so I guess we saved 10 grand.
Well, and I think Dr. Harris was able to convince the water office of just the importance of this program, and I think they
me, I think I hate to spend that money, but, I mean, I think sounds like something we probably need to do.
Did Hillsborough make a decision, or they're still in
They
discussion?
hadn't yet, I haven't heard yet whether or not, it should probably be on their next council meeting as well, but,
When, and maybe we said this already, and I just wasn't listening, when would the buoy, like, go in and begin monitoring?
it's in. It's out there. So I check it daily, sometimes multiple times throughout the day, but in conversation with Dr. Ted, he felt comfortable in going ahead and placing the buoy out there. And what he'll do is if, for some reason, Hillsborough, or for some reason, Marion doesn't wanna contribute to the program, he'll kind of work his schedule with his staff on how much attention they'll give our reservoir, is basically what it's gonna be.
So is there, I guess to go back to my question, is there an immediacy to this? Like, do we need, I know we had it on for information, but is it something that we should be looking to try and approve tonight and not waiting 2 weeks on?
I would feel more comfortable if we moved on it sooner than later, just so we're not, kinda hanging them out to dry, if that makes sense. Cause I feel like in the little bit of discussion that I've had with the water office, yeah, they're putting it on our shoulder, they're willing to do their contribution, but it's up to us and whether or not we wanna utilize what's available with that monitoring program, with the buoy program,
So like if we did it and Hillsborough didn't, then we're basically allowed access to that information and they're not? Is that fair? Or vice
I
versa?
don't
Let's
know
say
how
they
that-
did it
I
and we
don't-
didn't.
yeah, I don't know how that'll necessarily.
Or is it contingent on them doing it, us doing it, and the state for that, for each a third to make it?
Maybe moving forward, like next summer, let's say this summer, we decided just to come up with our own contribution for it, and Hillsborough decides, they don't want to do it. And again, I would have to talk with Morgan and, who their new administrator's gonna be, but, visit with them a little bit about what their thoughts are on it. But if they decided to go away from it, but we continue to want to utilize it, I'm sure then that would come down to us paying for all of it.
Gotcha.
Could we appoint our mayor to go over there and negotiate, more of a per capita cost?
No.
Just trying, to look at options.
I'm thinking, why couldn't we, first of all, this issue's been discussed at a previous council meeting, so this would not be the first time it's come up. We've had no public, to my knowledge, input on it from anyone. It makes perfect sense to me, but why couldn't we tonight, authorize the expenditure that's requested, as our share in a partnership with Hillsborough and the State Water Office, to access the information from this buoy, with the understanding that if Hillsborough chose not to participate, then we're not locked in. It has to, the motion would be to do it along with Hillsborough. If Hillsborough doesn't want to, then we'll have to come back and decide what our options are.
Fair enough.
So, you think that's okay?
Yeah.
Do you think they will approve it over there, or?
Can't imagine.
I would assume they would too.
Morgan pays very highly, she's just as much important as Jason's does, the information he gives them. And probably it's more critical for them than it is us.
It is, and it is in their situation where they're.
The treatment processes they use and the way that plant operates compared to ours, it's more critical, and she knows further ahead of time on how to manage it.
It was giving them about a 10 to 12 hour window, I believe, to make adjustments that they needed to, whereas more 24 to 36 for me, I had a little more time to.
Plus, their plant pulls 24 hours a day, where Jason's doesn't. So it helps in that lag
the more you talk to you guys, the more I think we shouldn't have to pay a full third.
That's what I said.
Well, Hillsborough sells water to Peabody as well, don't they? Don't they supply water to Peabody?
But we sell to Green County too.
Yeah, that's true.
Would we have any issue with our,
And maybe as we move forward, that's something that we, as community or council, however we wanna do it, we tackle that option. This kind of, the water office kind of threw us for a loop. We were having meetings with, Dr. Ted Harris and his group, and they were included in those meetings, and then all of a sudden it got, with all these great results, and we're learning all this stuff about the way our reservoir operates, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, by the way, we're not gonna fund you guys anymore.
Right.
It's kinda
Since it
how
works
we
so
were,
well, we're gonna,
how we were caught. So this year is the first year that we're gonna have to put into it, and it could be something that we talk about, before next summer, but, see how this summer goes, and, maybe around, I don't know, November, December, January, the two communities visit about how we wanna move forward on it.
Brian, do you feel like our budget could absorb it all right? Or is that gonna be an issue?
Well, if we're gonna save some money on chemicals, that's gonna be part of the absorption anyway, if we have to pay more on chemicals and or labor, don't you spend a little more labor on them too? If you don't have the report, so, I don't know, this is a wash necessarily, but, again, we're looking at putting new meters in, we're going in, we're gonna start getting real data and real billing based on what we've been doing for estimates. That's gonna correct some, that's why we'll do the rate study and see where we're at, I think. I think it's a viable risk for the first year.
I'm going to make a motion that we partner with the city of Hillsborough and the state water office to pay thirds of the cost of the Bowie Center program. This motion would have the caveat that should Hillsborough choose not to participate, then our participation would not go forward unless we acted further by a future motion.
Could I add a suggestion that this is for the 2026 year?
For 2026.
So we could do it differently next year. if
Yes,
circumstances
thank you
change.
very much, yes, this is for upcoming year.
For just information of everybody here, I went back real quick and found in Hillsborough's meeting minutes from their last meeting, they discussed this at their last meeting. And it says they had a council member motion for contingent acceptance of the Marion Reservoir Buoy project contingent on availability of funds with some other, there's other stuff in there as well, but that, to me, it sounds like that they are moving towards approving that as well, based on that. So just as an informational thing there.
So with regard to my motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Discussion?
I think the word contingent would be better than caveat.
It's a caveat to the proposal.
Okay. It's the only discussion I have.
Don't do this, science boy. Don't get out of your lane.
You don't have to spell to be in science.
Now I can't even remember what the motion was.
We're at discussion, so now.
Yeah, we're at discussion, but I can't remember the motion. What do you have down, Janet?
Well, I don't know what that word is, caveat.
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 Okay, here, let's rephrase. My motion is that we will partner with the city of Hillsborough and the state water office, each paying the same share, 33% of the cost of the buoy monitoring service, with the understanding that should Hillsborough not participate, this motion would be null and void. This decision will be null and void. We're not locking ourselves into anything if Hillsborough doesn't go forward with it.
And I'll still second that.
Thank you. So motion and second.
And then Brian, I assume you'll let Hillsborough know
Yeah,
that we
we'll get
passed
ahold-
it, okay.
Yeah, we'll let them know.
Anything else?
That's
Okay.
fair.
Motion on the table then, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Brian, they have a interim administrator, don't they?
Should be one there maybe by now.
Yeah, the interim at
Yeah.
Hillsborough, yes, Michael Webb is their interim.
Okay.
He started a week and a half ago,
Okay.
about a week or week and a half ago.
Could you reach out to him, Brian, and just let him know that this is where we're standing and see what where they are?
Absolutely. Call tomorrow.
Thank you. And then 18, telephone and internet services.
Yeah, in front of you is a letter from Lloyd Davies of Great Plains Computers and Networking. We did an examination, well, he did a lot of it. We got bids from 4 different providers for telephone and internet services. 2 of those providers are telephone only and no internet, 2 were all the above. The intention was to see if we could save some money off our current Verizon contract, because it hasn't been looked at in multiple years. We're not sure exactly when that was, but it's been quite a while. And then also look at improving our fiber speed for internet services. We've had a number of issues over the last few months, and we think that would be important. We're also had low service down here, and we can improve that for this room as well, for reliability reasons. So Boyd's gone through this. He's got a recommendation at the end of the story here. He's trying to, by the points here, improve fiber speeds in the south side city offices, improve fiber speeds on the north side of the building, the ballroom, the council room, and the offices upstairs. Improve fiber speeds at the police department, review the coax to fiber migration at the water plant, and set up shared point-to-point shop offices. Broaden wireless coverage at all locations, a major upgrade to comped wireless in the park. And as a caveat to that, we'd get the ability to get the cameras in and monitor that like we should be doing. So that'll be a byproduct of this too. At least the access for the service, we'll have to get the cameras, but at least we'll have the ability to get the information transferred safely and securely. And then UC phones at all locations, using VoIP service, which we have now. Also, we'll upgrade our phones to grant compliant phones. There's certain stipulations on grants that we have to have phones not manufactured by countries of origin that disagree with the federal government. So we'll have vendor-friendly phones to meet those requirements. As he says here, of the 2 proposals, Vive gives the most bang for the buck. Their biggest selling point versus IdeaTek is Vive is giving us 2 gig wireless coverage speeds in the park at no cost to us, which is significant savings, Lloyd said. IdeaTek's proposing charging for a 1 gigabyte internet connection, and the city pays for all installs of wireless access points throughout the park, which also require electrical work. The access points will be costly for outdoor rated equipment. We were 100 megabytes of fiber in the city office under previous administrator Brogan. Last month, Vive spun us up to 500 megabytes for the city and the city council so we could add connections faster than the existing coax as a prelude to going to 1 gig speed. This has been Brogan-Jones' plan when the fiber went in originally. The UC phones and headsets gives the city an integrated phone system between all sites. There will be other perks such as application, phone, software. Then you take your phone from your location to the mobile device, either cell phone or laptop or even PC, and the phones act and look as to your callers like you're sitting in your office. So if you're out in the field, you're still taking a phone call from your office phone. And there's seamless transition is of course the goal there. Bottom line is IdeaTek's monthly cost would be a little less than double Vive's monthly cost, with the city addressing the park's wireless infrastructure at half the proposed IdeaTek speeds, which are 2 gigabytes given by Vive and 1 gig by IdeaTek. We have a working relationship with Vive, which is previously Eagle Communications going back 20 years. They've comped the wireless internet service in the park for most of those 20 years at no cost to the city, but the service needs upgrading that Vive will do for free under this contract.
Comments, questions, thoughts?
So I actually met with Floyd, and he kind of talked to me about this in person, and, you know, it's just, he's been with, or not he, we've been with Vive, for so long, and they're offering all these upgrades, for, again, half the cost of Idea Tech, including some free services like the park. And finally, like you said, we would actually have cameras that would be working, in there, and, I think he's really pushing for that one.
Now, when we originally had contracted with Idea Tech, I believe that part of the deal was that we got a free Wi-Fi hotspot in the city, where, somewhere.
Yeah, it's
I don't
not
know.
been installed at this point, I
Has
don't
not been.
believe, yeah.
So I don't know if that plays into the fact, because they're saying that we'd have to pay for the park, but if it was to switch, does that mean that the park would be covered?
Well, it'll be a public access point, not necessarily used by us.
Oh, this is used for,
This could be used by us,
gotcha,
yeah.
not just a public, okay. That makes sense.
It's been so long that since we thought we had, coverage in the park, that might cut down on vandalism and damage to the restrooms and so on, and found that an integral part of it wasn't possible. I'm still not sure how that happened, but, we've got the hardware, we just need to get the, coverage there so we can use it. And that's not the main reason for doing it, but it is a nice perk that would go along with it.
I guess one thing I'd kinda like to see those numbers of all these options and things to do, but how much additional cost will there be other than just the total bill?
I've got the bids over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you wanna see 'em?
At some point, that's something that I would.
yeah, I
wanna
can
see
run them all through the
first.
photocopier and email them to you if you'd like to see the comparisons, but I do have them here in front of me.
Brian, you've got this on, for discussion.
Yeah, 'cause you like 2 weeks, but if you wanna go ahead and pull the trigger, I won't argue with it.
Tim, do you want a chance to look at that before?
Yeah, I'd like to look at it a little more before we make a decision.
Okay.
Why don't we put it on?
And now you said Verizon too, so,
We use them right now for a VoIP service, and the savings was significant.
I think Steve wants to say something.
Oh, well, before we did anything, can you tell me who the polls transfer, because it's getting, for 3-4 years now, it's getting ridiculous.
With Vive?
Live,
Yeah.
it's 90% of it.
Okay.
We'll
Yeah, I've
negotiate.
been in discussion with the gentleman that oversees the polls in the neighborhoods, and stressed that they have an agreement coming up this year too on that, separate of this. And I think we do for AT&T also. I think I saw those.
The phrase, get their poles transferred, does that mean they need to put new poles up?
No, they just need to move their,
Go ahead, Brian, you're going to explain it?
yeah, go ahead, you're the expert.
When we did all of our projects.
Come forward and talk loudly, or come up here.
He's our resident expert on this.
When we did our line project, the contractors they left like half poles all over town. And Vive and AT&T are supposed to come back and clean that up, and we haven't seen any progress. And Brian, I know, has been in contact with them, but if we're gonna switch contracts or something, or upgrade theirs, maybe that's a leverage to get them to do it.
So they're basically just supposed to take their equipment off the old poles and put them over to the new poles so you can remove every place where
Right.
you have a double pole.
And then we've been nice about it. We told them if they get it off, we'll come pull the poles and get them out of there, but it's just.
I've got a contact number for a guy at Vive
Okay.
that I'll shoot to you.
Thank
It's like
you.
their
It might be different though.
regional VP or something.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what his title is, but he's a really nice guy. So
That's fine.
send you his
I'll let the
contact info.
salesperson know. too.
Might be the same one that you talked to.
Well,
I don't know, but-
Stephen said,
It just we haven't moved forward, and it's been 3 years at least.
I have
but
had
we
a
got
few-
leverage now, right?
Right, and that's why I said something
Yeah.
again.
And I have had a few people ask me why we still have double poles sitting in several
And
places,
that's
which
why.
I tried to explain to them.
Because now we're not really supposed to touch other people's equipment, but we go ahead and do it. Because we
So
don't want
maybe
them
you
sitting
just,
there.
maybe you just remove a couple poles and leave their stuff hanging and then.
We send them the bill?
You guys tell me we can do it, we'll sure do it.
Accidentally cut some wires.
Yeah.
Or just send them the bill.
What happened, yeah.
So, all right, that's all I have.
So if you'd like to wait 2 weeks to approve this, then I'll
Yeah, Let's
make
put
another
it
go
on
at
for
getting that
action
done.
at the next meeting.
Okay, that's fair.
Ms. Jones?
All right, I have visual aids. So the first thing to talk about is the billboards on the highway. I think we're all painfully aware that we have some billboards that are not providing the best message to travelers about Marion, in that they look like garbage. So they need to be replaced. I did go to MEDI and showed them the billboard design that we have looked about and discussed a couple of times, and MEDI were fans. So I think we're at the point where we need to say, is this what we're gonna do? What size do we wanna do? And can we do it? This is the 8x12,
Which is what we currently have,
which is
right?
what we currently have. This is 8x16, which would be adding one additional panel, but then it would probably require a little construction. None of the guys here, I guess I could tell that, to be able to
Take more work.
take more work to go up by one panel.
I think if we're gonna do this again, we probably go with like a steel frame instead of the way we're doing it, because it'll seem not holding up as good as we thought it would.
Okay.
And this was 8x24, which even at MEDI, the general consensus was that they didn't like this as much. 8x16 seems to be the sweet spot if we wanted to go bigger, but everybody was also still a fan of the 8x12 size if we wanted to stay the same.
Are the current ones, are they just like a banner stretched over, or some of them that I've seen seem to be?
Here, I don't think any of the ones that we have are a banner, correct me if I'm wrong.
Gotcha.
That's kind of what they do for the Walton billboard, but that one changes out pretty much on a monthly basis, so it's not as much of a problem. These would be more permanent billboards, and so a banner wouldn't work well, cause
Right.
our Kansas wind would destroy that in no problem. The company that we have talked to about making these billboards was Baker Brothers, and they do it's almost like a vinyl sticker, but very heavy duty on metal, and they do them in 4x8 panels that then we would screw up on top of there. It's essentially the same material as, for our sign that we just got up at Bill and Essie's, if you all wanted to take a look. They also do the billboards in Hillsborough, and this is the same method that they've used for the billboards out there. But it makes it a more permanent billboard. And then we discussed the idea of having a board, basically, that would stretch across the legs of the billboard underneath, that we could potentially change out, whether they be magnetic or whatnot, but change out that board underneath to be like Chingawassa Days, these days, Art in the Park, third weekend of September, Holly Jolly, Small Business Saturday, switch that out based on what's coming up, so that we can be advertising the events that are happening in town that might bring people in, but the billboard itself would stay the same and stay relatively simple.
If you look at the one out by the reservoir, where the main sign is gone, but underneath the red, Art in the Park thing is still there, that's kind of.
Right.
How many are there, different billboards that we'd be looking at?
Did we say 5? I think there's 5. The 2 that we're really worried about is the one at the reservoir, which we don't have a billboard up there anymore, it's gone. And then the one on 77.
Hanging off.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone at this point too, and KDOT has sent us a letter requesting that we get it replaced, so.
Do we need to do anything with KDOT if we're going bigger?
There are fees that we have to pay to have the billboards, and it would be a bigger fee, but it's on a sliding scale, so it's if you have this much square footage or less, you pay this.
But we don't have to go get like an additional approval or anything.
Not from what I read, but I would be happy to dig further, but from what I read, it wasn't that they had to approve it so much as that we just had to pay for the square footage of the billboard.
Megan has heard me on this more than she wants to. But I think the current signs are too small. And I recognize that this will have less info on it, so it would be maybe easier to digest that small, but I still, even with that, if, anyways, I drive back from McPherson and Salina and Hillsborough frequently, and I look at that, I know what that red Art in the Park thing says, but if I didn't, I don't know that I would get it at all. So I'm not, but that's the one that's probably the furthest from the road other than, at Elmdale. The others, I think, the 8x16 would be a really nice looking sign, and it would also, the thing underneath would, you could put, if you don't have anything else to go up there, it should say,
Rhino Capital,
Rhino
Kansas.
Capital Kansas, yeah.
I like having the thing on the bottom, you know, to change out instead of just having Art in the Park up there for a full year. So,
Nice thing about the section, moving to the sections or they're individual, if one part gets damaged, you're not replacing the whole thing. Just has to replace the part that is. So, that'd be a cost savings in the long run.
What's the cost on those?
They're $350 a panel, and so you have to think if we're doing an 8x16, they're 4x8 panels. So you do 4 of them if we're doing an 8x16 sign, and then if it's double-sided, obviously it's 8 of them. Another thing, just to kind of throw another element into this is, Libby Nelson did stop by my office a while ago, and one of their vendor for the liquor store for Budweiser had said, well, maybe Budweiser might be interested in sponsoring a sign, but of course, if Budweiser sponsors a sign, your billboard also has Budweiser. So, that was something that I thought the council might want to discuss. City of Marion, sponsored by Budweiser.
And you get naming rights for all your signs.
Yeah.
Depends on how much they're willing to sponsor.
that's what
So,
I was
an
gonna
8 by, so an 8x16, we're looking at 20, let's see, 350 times 8, $2,800 for a double-sided sign that's 16 by 8
Times 5.
times
Yeah.
5 for each one.
I think this has to be done on an incremental basis.
14,000.
I think we're trying to identify the billboards that need it the most first.
There's 6.
There's 6.
I just counted them again.
Okay.
Plus
The ones that need it the most, which we identified the reservoir and the one on 77, and then I think we would start thinking about where there are best strategically, if they're all kind of at the same level of, I cannot speak English today, I'm sorry.
No, that would let us put eyes on a couple of them and see, are there parts of it that you don't see, right? I mean, I guess a little bit of my concern is like that welcome home to, is that gonna disappear on a white billboard?
I totally agree.
With the light part, right?
With the
And
blue
if we only do
sky.
2 of them, maybe that, it lets us
Yeah.
see that, and we either take it off or put it in a darker color, or, you know, like there's some, instead of just saying, oh shoot, we just spent
Yeah.
15 grand and.
The other thing that I'd say is, in my experience working with Baker Brothers, they do a great job of sending a proof, and if they see anything in that proof that gives them pause, they've been really great about communicating that with me and being like, hey, can we change this? I think it would look better, or whatnot. So, I think that they would be really helpful in that too.
By the way, my absolute certainty that the signs are too small, there is a chink in that armor. That is the one that sits at Remington, because that sits real close to the highway. And I think that one, this would probably be okay compared to the ones that are further away. So we wouldn't necessarily have to do 16, we could do 12. Well, I mean, do whatever you guys decide, but,
Be incremental, not all at once.
yeah.
We're just on for discussion on this one tonight, right?
Yes.
But if, we would also need to look at the additional cost for the structure to change, which will be additional cost on those, especially those will be bigger. Which will also be added onto that, so figuring out how much that's gonna run.
How much is Budweiser willing to pay?
I did not get a number.
If you would like that explored, we can do that.
We can absolutely look into it.
If it were Yingling or Free State, I'd feel differently about it.
They probably want the mountains of Bush on the back.
The mountains of Marion.
I don't know, maybe if we let Budweiser, we could get the Clydesdales for Holly Jolly Christmas.
There you go.
I would rather we remain pure, personal. But, is there any chance that MEDI would be interested in sponsoring a sign or one side of a sign or something like that?
I'm happy to ask. I definitely think that that could be a possibility. I think they would recognize that having, functional billboards benefits all of us.
Yeah.
We could reach out to Pride also.
I mean, we
Pride
could,
have money?
Pride's kind of turned
Just
over
over
merchants,
4,000.
right? Or no?
no, Pride still has their purse strings, but I just don't think they're active. We could also ask the Community Foundation too.
Okay, so what are you wanting from us?
Well, I know we've talked about it before. I think we just need to kind of make decisions of, are we good with this design? Are we good with sizes? Whatnot, and then what more do I need to gather so that we can move it on to action and get some, wheels rolling?
I'm looking for some kind of guidance.
I would say, I like the 8x16s, and my preference is to start with the two that we talked about that need replacing, and then at least, and like have that on for potential approval at the next one, and then if we could have some more information on what the rebuild cost of the structure itself is gonna be, so that we
Yeah.
understand what we're really getting ourselves into. I think that'd be really beneficial. And like Steven said, if we're gonna change the way it's constructed, if instead of doing wood, we're looking at doing a metal frame or something, I mean, maybe some different options of reconstruction.
That one at the reservoir, it seems like it takes a beating from the other side.
Yeah.
I think we replaced it 2 or 3 times since I've been here.
Is that one just one-sided? Would it help, do you think, if it was two-sided? So the wind couldn't catch it quite as badly?
I mean, something has to help, but
It's just a brainstorm.
And then if you reach out, like I said, to Pride and MEDI and stuff and get that information, if they're willing to pay for some of them or part of them, or that'd be good information to have.
Yeah. I really am not happy that I was having the exact same thought that Collett was, but, as I looked at that, and I think about it from a distance, whether it's the one out at the reservoir or the one out on Highway 50, I like very much, the bottom, I think, represents water, we have lakes, and the top, I guess, it's light blue, sky, clouds, whatever, but are you locked into that, or is there some way we could make that maybe stand out a little more?
I'm not necessarily locked into it. I think, if we go a lighter color, it blends into the white. If we go too dark of a color, it blends in the black and is kind of weird. So like more of a medium value is what actually pops out on everything better. And I could definitely play with that a little bit more. I also kind of love how the colors balance themselves. Like you have the same colors kind of in the corners, so it makes the entire sign feel a little bit more balanced. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that these colors have to be this exact color of
Could have
blue.
one more
We could
blue-green
change with,
in it.
yeah, we could play with it a little bit more and see what you think.
Jason,
For that
I think that was funny. One more blue-green in the watercolor to.
Especially headed out to the
I
reservoir.
didn't get it.
Gene
So.
had a note.
Notes from the audience. A two-sided sign costs more to mount than a single-sided. Okay.
Single-sided, you just put up 2x4s or whatever, and they fasten to it. Two-sided sign, you gotta have some way to hold it differently from the sides or all the way around it on a two-sided sign.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I think you got your marching
Yep,
orders.
we'll get some construction prices together, and I can play with some colors on here, and then meet you back in 2 weeks on this one. Okay,
Thank you.
yes, thank you. You are not quite
Yeah, she's
rid of
not,
me yet,
not
though.
done yet.
The next thing to talk about is, we had talked last time about we're getting rolling on the mural project, or the Rhino project, I mean. And we've talked about murals, just kind of as a refresher, the ones that I don't really have questions for you on these, but just as a refresher of what we're doing. This is the idea of what's going around the racquetball courts at East Park. Something pretty simple, just kind of silhouettes of the dancing rhinos around the outside of that racquetball court. And then this is going in the windows at the back of Bill and Essie's, so it will be greeting people as they enter the city from Sunflower. And then we talked about these murals that potentially we would be ordering on the 4x8 metal sheets, so they could be kind of switched out easier. And the idea being that we embrace our nickname as Rhino Capital of Kansas, but as we embrace that nickname, we're embracing all of the nicknames that have come before. So the town between two lakes, the Stone City, the best place I've seen, and all of these incorporate some rhinos that add to our rhino tour as well. The last time that we were talking, I had mentioned the idea of putting these above the city offices. And that's when we came up with the idea of putting them on the metal, because we liked the idea of being able to get up there and easily switch them out if they got too faded because of the direction of that building. But then through that conversation, it was requested that maybe we look at some other potential placements for these. And so I have grabbed some Google Map photos. Oh, I'm opening the wrong thing. Some Google Map photos for us to try and take a look at some possible other placements. So this was one idea, was to put them along the railing as you enter the park. And then here's another idea. This is the Worm Farm building. This building and some of the others that I show are privately owned. And so that's something to consider because, one, we need to get property owners' approval to even put them there in the first place. And second, every time that we need to do any kind of work or switch anything out, then we're, having to ask for that owner approval again. So that's just something to keep in mind. Not that it's necessarily a negative, but it's just another factor. The food bank. Somebody has recommended before that might be a great idea to place a mural because you see that side of the building as you come around the curve. They're kind of squashed in there. I don't know that the sizing is exactly right, but I'm just trying to give you guys some ideas. This is on the CB Baked Goods building, which you would see coming down the hill. I think that the sizing is off on this because keep in mind that these are 4x8 panels. I think that they would probably be smaller up there. I don't know if the scale is quite right. And somebody had mentioned also along our building, I want to do a mural for sure on this area where the cinder blocks don't match, but I don't know that this is quite the right application for these panels because they'd have to be kind of mounted funky, I think. And there's the ideas that I have here.
The Collett building coming from the west, I'm not gonna, this coming from the east.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of that coming from the west,
It would essentially look the same. It would just be the other direction.
okay.
this is probably beyond the scope of the project, but in my mind, if we could spread them out and not put them all in one spot, like, let's say, on the east side of that building, put the Rhino Capital of Kansas, on the west side, put Stone City, if you can find somewhere further down on Main Street to put another one, right? Not have all the old sayings in one spot, kind of spread them out, put one on the side of your building. Because I guess, again, my fear here is the same as the signage thing, that no matter where they are, you're not really gonna be able to read what's on them. Because a 4x8's not that big.
When I first saw them on the mock-up on the south side of this building, I get having them all together, it makes sense because it's, hey, here's all of our whatever. But the more I look at these, Megan, I kinda agree with Zach. If you had those, I like the things, they're good, but if you had, on a bigger size and I don't know what Rachel and Randy let you do, but if they would let you do it, something on one side, something on the other side, but bigger.
Well, if we're gonna do them on the metal sheets, the biggest size that they can print it is a 4x8. Unless we're gonna double or triple or quadruple them up.
But why do we the metal sheets, I know we talked about that, but you go around these other towns, they're just murals, they're just painted on.
Yeah, we definitely don't have to do the metal sheets. If we're gonna not do the metal sheets and we're gonna have them painted, it's gonna be at a completely different price point than what we're talking if we're gonna be doing these metal sheets. And then, I don't know that, it wouldn't be worked within the budget of the tourism attraction grant project to be able to do 4 larger murals that are a painted mural. It would be an additional cost that we didn't budget for.
How much do you have for the mural side of that budget right now?
So for the, let me see if I even have that open. I don't, of course. I think the quote for the mural, I wanna say it was like between 8 and 10, I can't remember off the top of my head, but that was based off of a quote that I got from Brick Mob to do a painted mural in that cinder block rectangle at Bill and Essie's. So that gives you kind of an idea of the price that you're looking at for what size. So, if we're gonna do about that size for each of these, we're looking at $40,000.
Where each one of these would be about $350.
Yes. Now, that being said, if we say we're not gonna have a muralist come and paint it, and we're gonna, have me and the art club kids paint this mural, that's a different conversation, but then we're also talking about teenagers on roofs, which is a little scary.
We do have we haven't talked about our billboards out there on the highway by the industrial park, north and south side, which also, I know the one that's got the boat on it looks a little haggard after a while, but is there a place you could put
Yeah.
a rhino one?
The one that's got the boat on it, I wonder if that was done like the Walton one. 'Cause that one's
I'm not
not
sure.
that old. I remember when we were all sitting around picking that logo or that design.
I do
I
like
don't-
Zach's idea, sorry, of kind of just spreading them out. I think it does look nice here, but my worry right there at the park is that people are gonna mess with them. They're at, kind of the right level to maybe mess with them a little bit. I think higher up as people are driving through, would look really nice.
It'd become more of a target than the toilets already are.
Yeah.
I don't remember who suggested putting them on the rails there last meeting, but I thought it was a good idea when they made it. Was it you?
It wasn't me, but I don't remember.
Or Steven? Steven's a creative dude. I'm dead serious. He is. He really is.
It was also Steven's idea to do the metal sheets, so.
But seeing this, I didn't grow up here, but man, first thing I saw when I came to this town was that park. Not the first thing, but the first thing that really struck me. And I think it detracts from the look of the park to have that much busyness in front of it.
The other idea we could potentially explore is putting these on the, stage in the park, too.
That's what I was just gonna say. Okay, so if we say abandon putting them on a sign and we pick one of those to do for right now, whether it's Rhino Cap, Cans, or whatever, and put it on the stage and actually paint it
And
on
paint
the
it?
stage.
Mhm.
In, I mean, not necessarily the full width of the stage, but go, I don't know, 10 by 20 or something.
Mhm.
I don't know how big the thing on the stage is, that might be
Yeah, I don't know either.
monstrosity on there, but.
I like that idea.
Mhm.
I wouldn't really like painting on that nice stonework
I
on the
know,
stage
no, there's
though.
that part
That
of it
would
too.
turn my stomach.
Yeah.
Would turn your stomach, that's, wow, that's aggressively stated.
Unless it's Picasso or something, I would have a hard time painting over such nice looking stone.
Could I ask a question?
Ask a question, Mr. Whitfield.
What would be the difference of having gray rhinos versus black rhinos?
No different. I can easily make them gray.
I mean, I think you could get more detail in it, I mean, versus an all black versus a gray rhino with some white hoofs and a white, deal. I mean, I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but I just thought, you know, somebody's gonna come and say, you know, when they see all those black rhinos, they're gonna say, what kind of town is this? You know?
I can easily make the rhinos be gray. I don't think that we would want to add more detail to them. I think part of the kind of stylistic look of these signs, they're kind of meant to have a feel like the old WPA posters, where it's very kind of simple and stylized.
I think you can see them better too. You know, they're darker and they pop out.
They can definitely even be like a dark gray. They don't have to be black. But yeah, that's an easy change. The harder thing is figuring out where to put them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't wanna make a decision tonight just to make a decision. I think we've had good discussion. And,
Is there anywhere else that you would like to see them, or anything else that you would like me to be able to bring back?
What about
For the
the
next
what about the option of having them freestanding on their own sign on post? Then we'd have a lot more option where to put them.
coming in from the south, can you see the south side of the car wash? Oh, very good. Okay.
You can put them like way up 10 feet above it, like a little. No, but I mean, if that would be an option, I know there'd be a little more cost that way, but if it made them a little more.
I mean, we'd just be putting in fence posts, essentially, if we wanted to mount them and have them be freestanding, that's.
They'd probably need a little heavier than that to hold up to wind, like a wood post set in concrete to, but it's just a thought.
So what do you got, what do we want her to do?
Find the perfect spot, just do that.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to do.
Well, I mean.
Well, I'm already 10 spots down, so.
In my mind, if you had, and money aside, you put a big one of those up on the east side of the CNB, on the College building, and you put one on the, west side of your building. I mean, that's the only two right out that jump out at me, but that's something. Now, that wouldn't mean we couldn't put something that, like you talked about over on the other side of this building too, but, how about orange, brick? Would it turn your stomach?
No, you can paint over orange brick, that's okay.
Very good, but.
What about
That's a great idea.
on the storage building as you come into town from the south? This is on, like that's Sunshine Preschool.
Yeah. You talking about on the
Yeah.
west side of it?
No, well, I guess, but I was thinking like on the doors.
Oh, who owns that?
How would you open the doors?
So what?
We would not be putting the sign boards on them, that we'd
It's
be
a guy
painting.
from,
They'd have to be
it's a
painted.
guy from Newton Hayes and Weinberg or something like that.
Every direction in the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, towards the entrance of every town. Change that.
That's what I was, yeah, what I was
Put
trying
them
to
on
get to was.
posts coming in the
That's
entrance
what you were
to
aiming
town in every
trying to get
direction.
into town.
Right.
It just seems like that, if we put them on posts, we do away with the murals, like it's not a mural anymore, now it's just another sign that we stuck up.
On the west side of town, right before you go over the bridge, whatever that, the old farm implement
Yeah.
building, it's got a great
Can have-
big side that faces the
That's another
road.
spot that I was just, that's So I'm
that.
trying to think of like the entrances in town and
Yeah.
what we could put
Beneke owned that at one time, I don't think he does anymore.
in
No,
construction.
NF
Now that'd be a
construction.
perfect spot.
Yeah, that would.
Construction.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I like the idea of one when you come in to town.
Good idea, Stephen.
I like this discussion. Maybe we ought to have this on the agenda for a really, study meeting, a work meeting. But we need to move on tonight.
Yep.
I hope you're getting some kind of guidance as we've talked about it.
No.
You know what we don't
No,
like,
I think you're getting some idea of what we like and what we don't like, and,
We have lots of ideas, yeah, we just need to narrow them down and figure out exactly what we want to do.
well, we're thinking. Sorry, but we're moving on from the meeting. Brian, with regard to the budget timelines.
Yes, handed you a proposed calendar, emailed it out to you earlier today. The state reveals the calendar for this in April, according to last year's. They have not put up the 27 schedule yet, so I kinda just went off the dates from last year. So, but in principle, this kinda gives you the idea of which meetings we would do things at. The first thing is, the team's gonna have their budgets in here, this week by noon, Thursday? I think it's Thursday, yeah. Is that right? Or Friday? Yeah, whatever it is, I don't know. Friday, okay, Friday at noon, there we go. And then we'll turn it around and bring those back to you on May 4th and present them to you to look at. And then we can come back to us with questions, concerns on the 18th, so it gives you 2 weeks to look at them. And then on the 15th, June 15th council meeting, we could make departmental budget adjustments and present to the council again. And then the 24th, would be a revenue neutral rate hearing if we need it, if we're gonna exceed. July 6th, the 24th we'd advertise, and the 6th you would have the revenue neutral rate hearing, which would be earlier than their request, but really ought to probably be ahead of the game, I think. I don't think it's
Yep.
gonna hurt anything. And then in July 20th and August 3rd, I'd like to come with, at the council meeting and dedicate at least half the meeting or a little more, to the departmental budgets. They could present those and do some PowerPoint presentations, pictures, and each department head or whoever's responsible for that budget could present that, yeah. So they're all eager, I'm sure, they don't know that yet. That's my intention, because I believe in them, so, they do good work. And, who better to tell you about their budget than the people that do the work, so, we're gonna share that. And then, what's that? Oh, okay.
I think he said he agreed.
Oh, he agreed, oh, okay, good, good.
The more money you're asking for, the longer it's gotta be, we'll put it that way.
I'm good.
So I set the budget hearing, official budget hearing date for September 8th. And then if we're in some kind of quandary or something, because that's gonna be a Tuesday, it's gonna be the day after Labor Day. If there's any kind of quandary, we got a fallback week if we need it, I believe. Now, if, they don't change the date, and it was due that, we had to have it due then, but I think it'll probably be the 21st. And then we turn it in, and we're all golden by October 1st, as we're supposed to be, to the county. So, I'm open to suggestions, concerns, thoughts. If you wanna have a study session in there somewhere, we can do that.
Do we have any study sessions even planned?
What's that?
Do we even have any study sessions planned?
None that I'm aware of right now.
Okay.
We did so many there for a while, it's gonna give you a break for a while. But we can do
were
some.
talking through this, I wrote it down. In my mind, the council budget presentations where we go through the different departments,
Mhm.
I think those should be study sessions.
Okay.
Cause I'm afraid if we put those, we'll be here till 9 o'clock. Like, I think that's probably, there's potential that that's like an hour and a half
Okay.
thing all on its own, let alone anything that we end up with a council meeting.
It could be, cause I know like the public works utility ones are gonna be lengthy, cause there's a
So
lot to cover.
And then it could maybe just be summarized at the following meetings. We could
Sure.
And make
back up
sure that we
again.
advertise for those public, or for the work sessions
What I would
too.
recommend, if we do those study sessions, we do them in here. It gets recorded, so it's available to the public
True.
anytime, like we did the last one.
But I mean, my thought would be to try and do them, I mean, we can't bump them up probably too much more than that, but if you, I mean, just stick them in between those council meetings basically, so I just quickly
Okay.
mentioned like July 13th and the 27th, like in the 2 off weeks in there. Basically bumping them each up 1 week.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll do that.
I mean, unless, I had been talking with Brian, I suggested we could also have a very limited amount during a regular meeting. You know, like, maybe even some of the smaller ones, and then, like you say, then have 1 or 2 study
And that's
sessions.
fine too. I'm afraid if we try and do it in 2 and do it in a meeting, that we're gonna end up really, really long, or having to speed through other things.
Yeah.
Whether it's the budget or something else. on the
Right,
agenda.
I agree. Brian, remind me, why is it that we couldn't have started working on this earlier? I know there's an answer, just remind me what the answer is. We're waiting on the audit?
We're waiting on the audit, waiting on schedule from the state, so I know, I mean, we're working on it, cause they're doing I already got 2 of the budgets turned into me. So, right,
It's
2
not a
of them.
criticism, it's just
Yeah.
I don't think we need to wait on the audit, and I recognize that maybe that's the way it's always been done, but to me, we could have started in January if we wanted to, saying, to, you know, Stephen, Jason, you know, tell us what you need. They've got last year's budget, they know what's in there, and they've got other things they're hoping they can do, they're hoping to get a vehicle replaced, or that sort of thing. I mean, I get it that it's a little more, vague because you don't have the audit information available to you, but you could have a lot of work done earlier, and then we could start earlier.
Get started sooner next year.
Yeah. Okay, that didn't help you this year though, does it?
No. But they're working on it. We'll have it, to May, then we can push it to, whenever you wanna do it next year. You tell us when you think you wanna do it, and we'll work it too soon, I mean.
I don't know that, again, I don't know that this is a request as much as just a question, are we gonna use Lloyd Group again this year, or no?
Yeah, we signed them up already, didn't we?
Okay, I just was curious.
Yeah.
Until we get, I think that they're invaluable
I
for
agree,
now.
that's why I was asking, yeah, I agree.
So, are we asking Brian then to work in some study sessions and come back to us with this? Is that what
I'll
we're doing?
just go with the dates you gave me, that makes sense. We'll take it off the council meeting, and that makes
What were
sense to
those
me.
dates?
That's kinda in the frame I had a feeling.
Pretty much all of July.
Yeah.
Yeah, every week in
Your
July,
month of July,
yeah.
down here, just move some cots in. 13th and 27th.
13th and
Yeah.
27th.
I knew I should have brought my calendar.
Keep real careful here now.
I like your attitude. I like your attitude. We'll make that vice mayor tag work for you. Anything else?
No, if you're good with that, well, that's where we're gonna roll.
Anything else that anyone feels we need to address? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
3 seconds.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay, ayes have it unanimously.
Thank you.